JDVance, in this curious turn of political theatre, the Vice President of the United States, the man more commonly seen scowling about a tire beside Donald Trump and smiling across the Atlantic, has announced that a trade deal between the US and the UK is not only possible but likely, and we are poised. In his words, there's a good chance of a great agreement between our nations. The basis of this optimism: the President loves the Queen, loves the King, and has business ties in Britain. It is admittedly one of the stranger foundations for a trade negotiation, but in Trump world, sentiment often substitutes for strategy, and dynastic affection apparently counts as diplomacy. To appreciate the weight of Vance's remarks, we must examine the context. Trump's so-called Liberation Day on April the 2nd, when he imposed sweeping tariffs on nearly all US imports, and the world economy convulsed, stock prices tumbled, global markets lost trillions, and of course Trump was inspired by Liz Truss. So on every level, Trump is looking over at Britain. British exports were spared the worst, but only just. A 10% baseline tariff now applies to all UK goods entering the US, with a punitive 25% rate on steel, aluminium and cars. And this is not a friendly backdrop for any trade negotiation. It is rather economic gunboat diplomacy, trade by coercion, not cooperation. And yet, with the 90-day delay, and yet JDVance has extended an olive branch, a strange gilded one, perhaps wrapped in nostalgia and royalist adoration, but a gesture nevertheless. Now, consider the mechanics of Vance's rhetoric. According to him, America is an Anglo country. The UK enjoys a reciprocal relationship, unlike the Germans, who, he says, are good at selling to America, but pretty tough on American exporters. This nod to cultural affinity is designed to flatter British sensibilities, while implicitly suggesting a hierarchy within Europe, with the UK in prime position. It's a nice performance, but it's worth asking whether sentimentality alone can outmaneuver tariffs, and whether being Donald Trump's sentimental favourite is in fact a desirable position. It's a little bit like Bruce Forsyth, isn't it? You're my favourite. The truth is that Trump's trade policy is transactional, unpredictable, riddled with exemptions that can be granted and withdrawn on a whim. JDVance's gerbil charm offensive may be real, but it comes with a caution labelled subject to reversal without notice. For Sir Keir Starmer, this is paradoxically both an opportunity and a diplomatic trap. A trade deal with the US would be politically useful, a vindication of Britain's post-Brexit pivot, a potential boon for exporters, and a sign that Labour can wield serious economic influence on the global stage. But signing any deal under duress while tariffs remain in place would make the UK appear desperate. Moreover, there's a danger of being dragged into Trump's capricious economic orbit, where allies are flattered by Monday and punished on Tuesday. For Starmer, the key is to keep distance while keeping lines open, and Rachel Reeves' upcoming visit to the IMF spring meetings in Washington may offer just such a chance to test the sincerity of Vance's claims and to insist on substance over sentiment. Vance's remarks must also be read within the wider Trump strategy. The tariffs, which have rolled markets rolled markets into disaster and prompted Elon Musk to beg for exemptions, are not a sideshow. They are the main event. And Trump sees them as a long-term play, a tool to reshape global trade patterns, reduce US deficits and coerce allies into compliance. Britain, though spared the worst, is still caught in the crossfire. And what JDVance is offering is not so much a trade deal as a path to exemption, but it's a path littered with political potholes. Demands for UK alignment with US tech regulations, possible concessions on agriculture, deeper defence commitments, fiddling with the NHS. In short, a deal is possible, but it will not be cheap, and it will certainly not be purely about trade. JDVance's sudden burst of royal enthusiasm and talk of great agreements should be viewed with cautious optimism. It's positive that discussions are happening. It's helpful that the White House sees Britain as a partner rather than a punch bag, but it's naive to believe that this affection translates neatly into policy. Keir Starmer needs to tread carefully. A deal may indeed be on the horizon, but to ensure it is in Britain's interest, it must be rooted in real reciprocity, not romantic reminiscence.